Here we are with the artist Nuvy Silva, who is participating in the show Re-verberations, curated by me as a curator in the Gallery Curator Voice, our project. We are here to know a little bit more about Maria and what she wants to express in her work that is behind us. And Maria, I just want to ask you, where were you born? Talk to us about your studies, a little bit about your biography, and then we go over to your work.
Well, I was born in Venezuela, which is in South America, and I moved here when I was about 5 years old. I moved with my family. And I moved to America because I wanted to learn how to read, how to write, how to speak in English. So later on I moved here to Venezuela to learn Spanish. And of course I grew up drawing all the time and painting. Later on I moved to Washington, D.C. to go to college there. And that was my major, painting. Then I moved here to Miami 2 years ago. So, yeah, I've been doing some artwork, painting, and I want to explain the artwork in the back. It has some pictures with conduits, and there's 3 different kinds. The first one is the deaf world. That's what it's called, to empower the deaf world. The second is the hearing world, and how it suppresses us. And the third is my own world, and how I feel, how I analyze. So they have many different colors. Like for example, if you can see the picture, the first and the second from the right, there are many jewels in that picture. And it has different kinds of balance, about music, and it's very smooth. And the second one has a bunch of chains holding it together to symbolize the balance, and how going through things and how nothing is limiting, and it's very heavy, very strong, very empowering. The second one is more light. It's about peace and relaxation, love. It's very connected, and it's not forever. It's showing what I do, how I think, how I feel.
This is important when you explain it, or explain to the viewers, is because your work has to do mostly with your expression, your inner expression towards the world. And I feel also that this kind of counter-cure that you propose in your composition has to do also with the itinerary of life that you've been passing through, even being a young woman. Explain us how it's this composition taking place, like roads, like parkours in your work. Explain us what is the composition that you create in there.
Okay. Well, really, I started painting, and I've been focusing more on conduits. And I decided I wanted to use circuits with them. And I've been using coloring pencils to draw. And I'm addicted to collecting art from magazines and some pictures as well. I really like taking pictures of things up close, zoomed in, and putting all of those things together, blending them all. So I feel very connected to that, and it's in a very natural way. So it's safe. So whenever I feel stressed or anything, I just keep going. I don't give up on what I do.
That's very important, because even when you talk right now, I can feel your passion, I can feel your intensity, that I imagine that's also the same intensity that you've been using to create your work. Now I have another question for you. Have you ever thought, or do you have planned, or have you produced any other works with a larger size?
Oh, yes, yes. I'm planning on making a very large frame on canvas and also on wood. And I'm planning on using also those conduits and making them 3D.
Wow.
So it can be more colorful and make it more pop. And have those conduits connect with the chains to become more three-dimensional and also very large.
Are you planning?
That's what I'm working on now.
Good. Are you planning to use any other material than paper? Because these are cut out papers on the work. What kind of other materials are you planning to incorporate in your work, in those larger size works?
Okay. Well, naturally, I'd want to use a paintbrush. Not on paper, though. No, it's not on paper. It's like on a board, or so that it can become 3D with the coils. Not on regular paper. No, I don't use regular paper. So I can use that to evaluate more what I'm working, what would fit one piece better than the other. I'd have to see how my piece is going to then decide on what material I'd like to use. Very good, very good.
Now, I'm asking you also, very important, could be even become personal, but it's so important being an artist. How have you been dealing with such a passionate personality that you have? With the world where you have to move around in the galleries. See, this is important because now we are using an interpreter to put in words when you're talking to us. And I'm asking you, how would you be, how have been your life through this career as an artist, being in this situation?
Well, of course, naturally, I use my own interpreter, and she's always with me, and she communicates while I use sign language. I have one always with me in the gallery. No matter where I go, if it's a museum, a gallery, meeting people, I always have an interpreter, and so she can speak for me, whether it's Spanish or English. She can interpret for me. But when I'm going in a gallery, of course, I have an interpreter. But at home, I don't have an interpreter, so I speak. I grew up learning English. I do understand a little bit of Spanish, but I'm more comfortable speaking in English. But of course, I want to feel more comfortable with sign language since it's clear for me, and it's very important for the world to see me as an artist. And I want to have that kind of influence on the world, because many people think, oh, how can deaf people communicate with other hearing people? But no, it's open, it's great. I use sign language and I speak with others. So of course, the deaf are more comfortable using sign language, but sometimes I would like to speak using a hearing aid. I don't have a hearing aid myself, but some people are okay with that. I also use gestures with my family, of course, and sometimes with my hearing friends as well that don't know sign language. So I use whatever is more comfortable with me at that moment to communicate with the people around me.
That's a very pretty interesting answer, because that is also correspond to that passionate personality that I repeated again, passionate personality that you hold in yourself, which is also a warrior personality, like I always say about you. I want to also ask you another important thing. How and what other mediums have you developed in your career? A sculpture, or maybe oil on canvas, or acrylic on canvas? Have you experimented into those mediums?
Oh yes, I have. Yes, of course. In the beginning, I used sculptures. Using the printmaking machine. And then I also experimented with watercolors, so many different mediums. At that time when I was a student, I experimented with different, like for example wood. I used wood sculptures and I made them myself. So it was very interesting. Yeah, that's it. Really, there's just so many. And so I decided that I really liked painting with colors, because a long time ago I was evaluating different pieces, and I really connected with colors. And so when I saw that, that's when I really connected with painting, and I found it very interesting how all those colors come together and they blend really well. One day I was thinking about painting with my hands, and also without hands, so to try both. And then also adding hands in the painting with sign language later on. Maybe I'll try that.
Very good. And I hear also that you were giving a lecture yesterday. Tell us about what is that in the school as an artist. Tell us a little bit, what were you doing yesterday, giving a lecture or encountering some people at some school?
It was recently that I visited a school and I saw their exhibits, because there was a deaf artist there. So I wanted to see their curriculum, to see what I could take there and match it with my art. But I just went there to visit. I haven't decided yet if I'd like to try it out or not. But I'm a very proud artist. I'm really focused on my work. And maybe one day I'd like to open my own gallery of my own. One day, hopefully, because I really would love to do that.
Or perhaps your studio here in Wynwood.
Oh wow, yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
Because in Wynwood you have the opportunity for the people to visit your studio on the gallery nights, and that gives you the opportunity to have exposure to the public that visits on the second Saturday of each month in Wynwood.
Yes, yes, of course. I thought that it would be a wonderful experience. Since I'm deaf, of course, it'd be really cool. But I'd like to see how people would think of my art, and then when they learn that I'm deaf, see how they would feel about that and be exposed to me. I think that it would be really interesting. I don't know if I'm the only deaf artist here in Wynwood, but I would like to set up a gallery here. But I'm not sure though. I'm not sure if before there was a deaf artist. I have to find out soon. Do you know? Do you know if there has been a deaf artist before?
I think you are, as my knowledge, I think you the first artist that is participating with the deaf situation in your life, in here. And you should be proud of that, and you should be aware.
Of course, I'm very proud.
And you should be aware of your accomplishment, because it's not because you're deaf, it's because your talent goes even beyond that possible difficulty, which is not for you a real difficulty. That's what I feel when you really enhance your power as an artist. Is not difficult at all. You connect to the people and you really communicate to the people the core or the bottom of what you want to express in your artwork.
Yes. Yes,
And also,
of course, it's very true.
Thank you. I also want you to extend an invitation to participate on our next show, which is going to be in February, in Curator's Voice Art Projects. The artist is going to be proposing another larger works in another medium that would be a surprise for the viewers, and we have to keep into this process of your developing of your art in wind. And thank you very much, Nuvy and Nuvy Silva, being with us tonight and being really connecting to the core of her passion and her creation. Thank you very much, Nuvy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, for having this interview with me. Thank you. I'm looking forward to the next interview in February.